The first thing I'm going to talk to you about are the assignments, and that is really the first slide that just kind of walks you through the different assignments and the structure for the courses, whether you're in the Wednesday night session or Thursday night session. The nice part about this is if you are absent, you do have the capability to listen in on one or the other if you want to make that accommodation, or if you're going to be absent, because I do know that all of us have different lives and different events happening, just reach out and I'm absolutely flexible in figuring out how to get you caught up or even preview something for you. You do have multiple assignments this semester. The first one is class participation and attendance. There's really two different ways to do that. I definitely listen into the conversations while we're literally in class together, and many times that counts for the daily points. You also will create a Google Doc that you are going to share with my email that's listed in the slides from tonight, scmumm92@gmail.com. Go ahead and make that now. Use the title of your last name, TLCI 505, and go ahead and share that with me. Always make sure you put your last name, because I save it to my drive and then I search by your last name when I'm ready to grade the submissions. When we have an opportunity at the end of a class and we need a little bit more reflection or engagement, I ask some reflective questions, and that's where you're going to go ahead and put that participation process in there. We won't have it in every class session, so you don't have it. Some other classes you have every week you're going in there. This Google Doc is not as frequent as other classes, and so you don't go in as many times as you do in other classes, but you do go in a couple times for those participation points. The next assignment is the principal interview. It is worth 20 points, and you will be finding, which might be a little harder in the summer, principal to interview and talk about them as that curriculum leader role. It is a huge component of principal leadership, and how do they really engage in the school improvement process and the curriculum review cycle? How do they determine and modify district goals? How do they look at data in order to determine what is the next focus area for this school? How do they determine the instructional objectives? Do they use curriculum design like Understanding by Design, CFA 2.0, Backwards by Design? We'll explore a variety of structures throughout our time together. Even in tonight's session, we have the 8 types of curriculum. You can even ask them, is there one of the 8 types that they have more of a tendency to look for and focus on as part of your interview? You want to ask the 5 questions that are listed in your syllabus. Of course, you can ask more or dive deeper into any one of them, and then you are going to kind of write your whole summary and analysis of what did you learn from that principal interview that will guide your own response to being that instructional leader when it comes to curriculum development, review, and goal setting for instructional leadership. What do you really think is the role of the curriculum leader? And what role do you feel that leadership must take? That is going to be the whole paper. I would definitely encourage you, especially here in June, the last couple of weeks, find that principal or curriculum leader to interview. We are more flexible in the summer. It doesn't have to be a principal. It could be your director of curriculum, your director of ed service, who takes that curriculum review cycle role in your district, or who do you want to learn more from? If you do want to step outside of your district because you've been investigating your district quite a bit, I am more than happy to link you with some principals that I know if you want to learn about different ways that other principals function to do that paper and interview. You do want to cite any direct quotes from them using APA. You will do the principal paper individually. You can interview the same person, and you would interview as a group, so a principal doesn't have to meet with multiple ones of you, but you will write your paper separately. The next one is the group curriculum project. You guys are given a little bit of a scenario. You are the new principal in District X, Y, and Z. You are charged from your superintendent by increasing in 1 year 20% of the number of students who meet or exceed on a state or local benchmark in math, reading, or science. You need to first look at data, determine what types of data sets you want to increase by that amount. That'd be a large jump, so be really thoughtful about what data sets you would want to use. You want to take into consideration teacher and student perspectives of learning in whatever content area you're selecting, what curriculum resources have been available and have been used in those instructional areas, and then also teacher evaluations and training that have happened in those areas as well. So you want to start collecting those artifacts now so that you can really do this curriculum project. This can be done in teams. I would prefer no more than about 4 in a group. 3, 4 usually is probably your best bet. Collect those artifacts, determine your content area, determine your assessment, get, teacher, student perspectives on it. Think about the teacher evaluation. I know you probably don't know the exact evaluation rankings of teachers, but we'll talk about how to find all of that and then figure out what curriculum documents are available. Ultimately, you are going to create a plan outlining, if you were the principal, what are you going to do to make that dramatic change immediately? Is it going to be implementing a curriculum review cycle? Is it going to be getting new materials? Is it going to be getting better training? Is it going to be trying to evaluate some teachers into a different content? Is it going to be higher levels of accountability? And you're going to write kind of that, how are you going to align to standards? How are you going to increase teacher effectiveness? And what are you going to be your distinct SMART goals over the course of time? Your plan is going to be a 1-year plan or about 18-month plan of really how are you going to make a dramatic impact on that student growth. If it is about teacher improvement and development, how does that get all the way down to student improvement? Ultimately, you can decide the format of what that presentation looks like or paper looks like. If it's going to be 1 to 2 page paper, multiple page paper, it could be a chart, it could be a calendar, because it really does go over the course of 18 months when you really look at those artifacts. But in the end then, on one of our last 2 classes, you're going to be doing a presentation, a mock presentation, as if you're meeting with the superintendent to say, look, here's my findings, here's what we're going to do, here's how I'm going to change the course of learning for our kids. And that's going to be about a 20-minute conversation you're going to have with someone role-playing the role of your superintendent. And you do not have to make it a fancy presentation, because it should be a conversation as if you're walking into your superintendent and proposing what you're going to do. So that presentation is just the last 5 points of the whole point value. The plan is really the bulk of your points for that assignment. Start to collect artifacts of what do we have in certain content areas, and we'll talk more in our second class about that curriculum project, and also be thinking who you want to work with in that. Your next assignment is the case study. You will choose from, I think, 4, maybe 5 different teacher evaluations that I have, ranging from first-year teachers all the way, I think, to 11th year teachers. I'm going to give you their teacher evaluation. I want you to analyze the documents that I have. Some have a lot of documents and some have very little, which happens a lot when you're a new principal. You open up those files on staff and you're like, oh, has anyone seen this teacher for a while? Or you see a plethora of things on the teacher, and you need to be able to analyze, what does this tell me about the teacher, and what do I need to support the teacher and grow them as a professional, either to motivate and inspire them to really push even further, or to remediate and really make sure that there is some major instructional change happening in their classroom. So you're going to create a document that is about 2 to 3 pages of what did you find in the teacher records from evaluations of the past, and then what would you do as the instructional leader to challenge and support that teacher moving forward, and what kind of training and infusion of technology or teaching and learning would you work on. And then lastly, there's two other things. The chapter presentation, we have 5 possible groups that you can sign up for, no larger than 5, preferably, depending on our numbers of students. You will see on session 2 the topics listed. Some are chapters from our text and some are open topics of choice. So we will have a sign-up sheet that will start next week when we have the conversation. The goal of this is that you are going to create a 20-minute faculty presentation on the content, as if you are delivering as the instructional leader to that of your staff. And then afterwards, we are going to evaluate you right away on the Danielson framework of how did you engage your faculty in an exciting manner based on one of the indicators from Danielson. And so we'll talk more of that, and we'll do our sign up next week in that. Doesn't have to be traditional. It's something you would want to engage in a faculty meeting. And then application assignments are also part of that Google Doc. In the very end, we're going to have some exciting, what did you learn kind of application reflection, and what is the one big takeaway that you would learn as the instructional leader, because that is definitely what this class is focused on. What does it take to be a really good instructional leader? I am so excited again to work with you and work through these assignments. It is definitely my passion and wheelhouse. So make sure tonight you read through those descriptions. I just did a brief overview, dive into the syllabus, write those questions down. Feel free to text them to me, email them to me, or bring them to class next week. We will clarify all your questions, get set up in your groups, start to figure out who you want to interview for your interview, start to think about who you want to group with for the curriculum project and the chapter presentation, and we'll get our group signups going and we'll be in good shape starting next week.